Good name.
Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. We're really glad that you're here today, whether you're watching us live or you're listening to us later or watching us later. We're really glad that you decided to be in our audience.
Boy, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's get started with some announcements here. If you are in the Atlanta area, and even if you're not, tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, WDJY FM 99.1 in Atlanta, or if you're not in Atlanta, you can listen on the radio station, WDJYFM.com. We're going to have Echoes of Memory. That's Sarah Driscoll's episode. It'll be airing tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. That's September 19th. Saturday, September 21st is episode Rewind, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, basically right here where you're watching this. That's Judith Shervin and Jim Sniechowski, their episode. And then next Wednesday live will be September 25th, and that'll be Ruth Stevens. And we're going to talk with her for the hour. Got a comment there?
Yep. Joe Conjol says, hi, Rob and Joan.
Hey, Joe.
Okay, I'm trying Facebook again.
Yeah, well
yeah,
you're
you
coming
got
through.
in.
It looks like you're on Facebook. It's
Yep.
working.
Yay.
Okay, all right. We might keep that one. You never know.
Yeah.
Want to give a shout out to the release of The Ransom Enigma. It's book 27 in Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles by Brakefield and Berkey. I think we have the cover right there for you. And then we don't have the cover for this one, but pre-order is available now for Richard Schwint's book, For Boys Who Struggle with Darkness. That's book 28. It's available for pre-order.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, 99 cents on the pre-order side of things. It releases September 20th. Okay, so that's the next one coming out in the Magnolia Bluff series. We want to also talk about The Song of San Leon by George Dismukes. It's available out there. You don't want to miss it. It's really good. We've read it. We had an advanced reader copy on that. Mm-hmm. And George weaves a very interesting tale.
Joy York says, hi, Rob and Joan. Hi, Joy.
Also wanted to give a shout out Summit's Edge, Sarah Driscoll. That's coming out soon. This is an advanced reader copy. And then also A Chance of a Ghost by us.
That's an advanced copy.
Yeah, that one was an advanced copy, but it is out.
Yeah. We had a really advanced copy of that one.
We sure did.
Yeah, we just got all 5-star reviews from readers' favorite.
Yeah, it's hard.
Reader's Choice, Reader's Favorite, Reader's Digest, Reader's Favorite, in all of their categories. So we were really thrilled with that.
Hi, Marjorie.
Hi, Marjorie. Marjorie says, hi, Rob and Joan.
And
hi,
you're on YouTube. You're watching on YouTube tonight.
Marjorie's watching on YouTube.
Cool.
Let's see. Oh, Joy's on
LinkedIn. We've got quite a diverse audience here.
Mm-hmm. So none of you can see what any of you are doing. Joe Conjal said, yay, congratulations. It was so nice. In every single category, they gave us 5 stars.
Yeah, like didn't win any
plot
awards,
no.
Just had a good review.
really good
Excellent
review.
review, yeah.
Plot and character development and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So we appreciated it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So
we're using it in our marketing.
There you go. Day by day, baby steps.
I just did.
Yes, we did. Very good. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I think I want to talk about Linda Watkins and what she has to say.
We're going to introduce Linda Watkins, a USA best-selling author. Hi,
There
Linda.
Hi.
Welcome aboard.
How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. If you weren't on the show, it would be just the two of us talking for an hour every week. And nobody's going to.
No one's going to sign up for that for very long, that's for sure. You can fool them for a few minutes, but.
Our kids don't even listen to us that much.
Not anymore. Oh, well.
That's not true. Our kids are very attentive.
Yes.
I don't want to make them sound like they are something that they are not. Yeah. So, Linda, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to write and at what point you decided to write?
Okay. Well, I was born in Connecticut. I was only born in Connecticut because my uncle was an obstetrician. Oh. And we lived in New Hampshire. And at that time, it was, after World War II. And so my family, mother and father, stayed with my father's parents. And they shipped my mother to my uncle when she had both my sister and myself. So we were born in Norwich, Connecticut. We moved when I was around, I would guess, a baby, 2 or 3, to Ohio, where my father had work. And then we moved to Michigan, which is where I grew up, in Dearborn, Michigan. I grew up and graduated from high school there. I went to college at Carnegie Tech. Graduated from there and then went back to Michigan and did a year of grad school and got my teaching certificate and then decided I didn't want to do that. So I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area where my sister was at Stanford in law school. And I worked there I lived there for most of my adult life. I worked at Stanford University School of Medicine in the Department of Pediatrics and Department of Surgery for over 20 years. I was an administrator, one of the first reimbursement people, because it was at a time when reimbursement was becoming difficult for institutions like Stanford. And when I retired from there, I moved to Bend, Oregon. I am a dog lover. I had 3 dogs at Bend, and they moved with me after I lived there for 4 years. And then I moved to Chesapeake Island, Maine, which is the largest unconnected island in southern Maine, which means that access is only by boat. We have a ferry that goes to and from the island, but a lot of the people, year-round people, have their own boats, but I didn't. So I moved there with my dogs, and I lived there for 7 years, and that's where I started writing. I had always written stories and poems and songs. I wrote a lot of songs, and just for myself and for my friends and stuff like that. But at one point I just decided I wanted to try. I always had stories running around my head. I would go to these stories when I would go to bed and try to go to sleep. I'd go to the stories and they would put me to sleep. And so I decided to try to write a book. And one of the reasons I did was because of the invention of the iPad. I had a very bad back at that time, and it was difficult for me to sit on a computer for any length of time. But the iPad, I could take with me anywhere. I could sit on the ferry and write. I could sit in my car waiting for the ferry and write. I could write in the middle of the night. I could just pull it out and wake up in the middle of the night. Oh, I gotta write this. So that's when I was around 2011. I wrote MATEGUAS Island, my first book. I didn't do much with it while I lived on the island. I tried the traditional way of sending out query letters and trying to find an agent. And that was pretty much like a brick wall. I got some interest, but not enough to, go further. So at that time, circumstances got me off the island, and I moved to Muskegon, Michigan, where I had friends. And one of those friends was also a fledgling writer. He had just written, Steve LaBelle had written a book called Bernie and the Putty.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know
Yeah, we know Steve.
Steve.
Yeah, yeah.
We know
Yeah.
Steve. He's really
Yeah.
hilarious. Hold on just for a second. A couple of comments. First, George DeSmuke says, okay, I is here. So is the fam. 2 legs and 4. Hi.
Hi, George.
And Nadine and the doggies.
And Nadine.
He
and
loves
Woof Woof.
he loves his woof woofies. Yes, they are so sweet too. Gizmo and Daisy. Joe Conjul says, hi, Linda. Since you have written songs, wondering if you play any instruments.
No.
Just words, like poetry.
I
kind of.
had,
Lyrics.
yeah, I had a keyboard. And I had a boyfriend at a time who was a composer. And he taught me some riffs on the keyboard and this and that. And I could pick out some songs. But I basically wrote songs for him to put music to. So that was, yeah.
You
no,
wrote the words, you wrote the lyrics.
I wrote the lyrics. Yeah, I wrote
Yeah.
the lyrics, and then he put music to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not famous, though. Nothing was ever published.
So while you were living on the island was when you actually started this. Let's see, let me find the first one again.
There's MATEGUAS Island. Yeah,
MATEGUAS
that's my
Island.
first book. Yeah.
And then you were saying that you moved to Michigan.
Moved to
and
Michigan.
met Steve LaBelle.
Still married to my high school best friend, Marge. And
Oh,
that's why I moved to Muskegon. And he had put together a writing group of several other local writers. And so we met periodically and read each other's works and did all this. And then Steve got really hyped up on the self-publishing thing.
yeah.
And I don't know if I would ever,
remember.
if it hadn't been for him.
Yeah.
But I had MATEGUAS finished, and I wrote a prequel to it. And
What's
I
the
went on
secret?
Amazon.
Secrets.
Secrets, right. Yeah. A story of love and betrayal. And that was my test book. And I loaded it onto Amazon, and I hit the publish button and thinking that I'd get a message saying, do you really want to do this? But I didn't. It was published. And I said, okay, this isn't that hard. So in April 28th, 2014, I published MATEGUAS Island, and I expected I would have everybody from Shabig Island buy it, and that would be it.
Yeah.
To my surprise, it became a #1 bestseller on Amazon. And so then I thought, okay, what am I going to write next? And I was already starting another book, which was, I still haven't finished, which is a horror novel. And then I decided I'd write a sequel to MATEGUAS, which was Return to MATEGUAS Island. And then that led to the third book in the series, which is Ghosts of MATEGUAS. And I have just completed, finally, after years, the fourth book in the series, which is Dreams of MATEGUAS, the final chapter, which I have the first draft done, and I have not yet started the editing process, but I'm hopefully get that published next year. Yeah, and that'll finish the MATEGUAS saga.
For those that don't know, what is the genre for this series?
Genre is contemporary Gothic horror.
Okay.
It's very Gothic. It's set in an old house and the island, and it utilizes Abenaki Native American legends.
Okay.
And the Abenaki are our tribe in
Their
southern
tribe
Maine.
that is indigenous to southern Maine. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do any remain? Do you know?
Pardon?
Do any of the indigenous people remain? Do they have any ancestors still living? I mean, descendants still living?
Yes, they're sure that one of the fairies was at one time named Abenaki. But I'm sure there are remnants of that tribe still in the area, but I would say not on the island, not on Chesapeake. But there are a lot of legends on Chesapeake that I didn't know about until I wrote the book. And then people said, do you know about what's going on in the woods back here?
Can you share one with us?
Well, I don't really, not really.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Okay.
Just wondering.
Yeah. So then your second series would be this one, right?
Yeah.
Storm Island, Kate Pomeroy.
These are all mysteries, right?
These are Gothic mysteries with a little. Some of them have a hint of the paranormal. Some of them are very paranormal. It's a 5-book series right now. Again, it's set on an island off the coast of Maine. Storm Island is a privately owned island by 4 families. And yet there's also people who live there rent-free who actually make the island work. So my protagonist in that book is Kate Pomeroy.
Uh-huh.
She is a young doctor who is at the beginning of the book is in residency and surgery at a major teaching hospital in Southern California. Her father is also a physician. He's the chief of staff at the hospital, and she has an apparent breakdown in the operating room.
Ooh.
And is, after a lot of that stuff goes on, but she's sent to Storm Island, which is a place from her youth to rest and recuperate. Her aunt and uncle, her aunt Hetzibah is a psychiatrist. Her uncle Raoul is a dealer in antiquities. And they are one of the 4 owners of the island. And so her aunt, she's sent to her aunt for therapy, and her aunt sends her to Storm, which is not pleasant for her because the last time she was there, when she was around 8 years old, she found her mother hanging from the ceiling fan.
Wow.
Yikes.
Of the old manor house.
Wow. Yeah, no wonder.
Parents' suicide.
I have to wonder what's wrong with Hephzibah to send her back there. Here, go here and rest.
There's a lot going on there,
Yeah.
And her mother was a poet and kept a journal every summer. They went there every summer, and her father came and went. Came visit for a couple of weeks, then he went back to work. And but her mother wrote a journal every summer. And when Kate finds her mother's journals in the attic of the manor house, she finds one is missing. And it's that one from that final summer.
We have a question for you. George Dismuke says, what do you mean make the island work?
Okay, make the island work means they're the people who do the stuff that makes a place work. They run the grocery store. They run they lobster. They do, they fish. They run a bar. There's a bar on the island. There's, they're people who work. working people who otherwise everything would have to come from the mainland. So this is what those people do, and they have live with fixed rents or rent free in order to do that, so that these rich people who own these there are 4 manor houses on Storm Island, 1 on each compass point, and that has significance because the island has a dark history and was once inhabited by witches who fled Massachusetts Bay Colony after the Salem witch trials.
Hepzibah, the name was a clue that it was a pretty witchy
Well,
place.
Hepzibah is, I can't remember, I think it means she walks in beauty. And she was named that because her mother was a biblical scholar.
Uh-huh.
And Kate's father's name is Ham, which is another biblical name, but he changed it to Ham as soon as he could. He
Also a sandwich.
He was one of the sons of Noah. Paul Hollis says, sneaking in, waving hello. And,
hi, Paul.
And Joe has a question for you, but we need to take a station. Oh, George says, let's not talk about lobster. I'm sitting here eating fried rice. Anyway, we have to take a quick station break and hear from our sponsors. And then we have a question for you from Joe Conjo. We'll get to that right after the break.
All right, don't go away, folks.
This novel, set against the backdrop of the English Civil War, explores love and survival amidst the chaos of war. It combines historical events with personal narratives, highlighting the impact of conflict on individuals and families. England, 1642. When bloody civil war breaks out between the king and parliament, families and communities are driven by different allegiances. Red Winter Journey is a sweeping tale of adventure and loss, sacrifice and love, with a unique and unforgettable story of a mother's love for her son at its heart. A historic journey of twists, turns, and a dash of spirited passion.
I finished reading the book a couple of days ago. It was a great read. The plot was indeed compelling, and I loved the conclusion. What I particularly enjoy in Paul's novels is his vivid recounting of historical details as to the social and cultural sides at the time. His characters are very likable and relatable.
It's 1919, and Eric Laska returns from the war in Europe. 2 new enemies await him in the small, coal-mining town he calls home. One is a threat to his relationship with Rebecca, the love of his life. The other, a bloodthirsty beast, is stalking the mining town residents. The townspeople suspect Eric of one of the killings. An old man and Rebecca's 11-year-old sister have seen the beast, but only Eric believes their story. To protect the town and clear his name, he's forced to prove the werewolf exists. Available on Amazon. The Horror Within by Marjorie Swift Doring.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Now comes part 4 in the Jaguar series by retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. In this saga, Brandon, Andrea, and Naja, the Black Jaguar, go deep into the Mato Grosso jungle on a mission to rescue 2 kidnapped children. During their journey, they encounter many dangers, including Yanomami Indians, bent on revenge for the murder of one of their warriors.
Return of the Jaguar is book 4 in the Jaguar series, starting with 2 faces of the Jaguar, the Lost City, and the Jaguar's Quest. All 4 are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other bookseller websites worldwide. Return of the Jaguar is a must-read.
And we're back.
We are, most certainly.
All right. Here's Joe's question. Linda, do you outline your books ahead of time, or are you a pantser?
I'm a pantser. I often can't remember names that I've named characters, and I correct all that when I edit. No, I don't outline. I do in my head, but not on paper.
Yeah.
Not on
Yeah.
I usually have a book plotted out in my head before I start writing. And then it could change at any time. Like today, I'm working on the third Steve Daniels mystery, and I added a character that I never thought of before. So that can happen as I'm writing, but I got most of the basic plot elements in my head first. And
Did
they can
you
change drastically though when I start writing.
did you want to read for us a little bit from MATEGUAS? Want to do
I
that?
Yeah, I've got it right here. Let me find the first page. And I have to shift my light source so that I can actually read it because the print is too small and I have to change my glasses. I have eye issues, so. Okay, this is the first chapter in MATEGUAS. It's a short one, so don't worry about that. October. Let me get this right. She rolled over to check the clock. It's time, she thought, nodding to herself. Careful not to disrupt the man who lay beside her, she silently slipped out of the bed and tiptoed over to the closet. Reaching up to the top shelf, she pulled a small black box from under a pile of linens. She stared at it for a moment before removing the lid, revealing its contents. Inside, on a satin pillow, lay a small bone knife with a carved handle. Slowly, she lifted it from its resting place and tested the blade against the tip of her finger. A drop of blood at once appeared. Smiling grimly, she grasped the hilt firmly in her hand and walked to the bedroom door. As she left the room, she looked back over her shoulder at the man who was still asleep. She loved him and did not want to lose him. She prayed he'd keep his promise. Quietly, she padded barefoot down the stairs and out the back door. When she reached the middle of the lawn, she turned, facing east. As if summoned, the moon appeared from behind a cloud, its sickle shape glowing with preternatural brightness. Standing motionless, she turned to her gaze toward the sky as the autumn wind whipped her nightgown around her slender form. She took a deep breath and stood up straight. She was ready. Slowly, she raised her arms to the sky in supplication and began to speak.
Whoa.
Mm.
That's the prologue to MATEGUAS Island.
Very
And then
good.
6 months or so. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very good. Very good.
Okay.
Okay, so let us put up your books in. Okay, we've got a comment here. Joe Conjal says, great reading, chilling scene. Yeah, that sets it up for witchy stuff.
Yep.
Paul Hollis, excellent read. I'm hooked. That's
Thanks,
right.
Paul.
Yeah, it is. It's creepy. So let me run through those books really quick for everyone. It's MATEGUAS Island. That's book 1. And then Return to MATEGUAS. And then Ghosts of MATEGUAS. And actually, this is the prequel that you were talking about. It's Secrets of MATEGUAS. And then we get into Storm Island. And this is the beginning of the Kate Pomeroy mysteries.
Right.
And there's the TAO of the VIPER,
Mm-hmm.
Abducted. I'm probably saying that wrong too, but you can correct me.
That's right.
Abducted.
Yes. Abducted. I got abducted.
Oh.
Then the Empty Space.
Yes.
Let me see. Then we have Blood of the Viper. That's
Right.
the 5 books that you've finished in this series.
Yeah.
So you want to tell us briefly about the Storm Island series?
Okay.
The
Well,
Cape
the
and
Storm
Pomeroy?
Island centers around Cape Pomeroy, who, as I said
Mhm.
before, sent to Storm Island. Let me move this light over there. To rest and recuperate. When she's there, she discovers a lot of things about the island that she didn't know. She'd been there as a youth, but not, never came back after finding her mother's body.
Yeah.
And Storm Island has a dark history. It was, as I said, it was populated by witches who, or not necessarily witches, wise women. Let's call them wise women, because that's what they were, who fled the Massachusetts Bay Colony. And these women, because they had some Celtic tradition, built their farms or their houses on 4 compass points and of the island. And they lived there peacefully for a while. But there were people from the Massachusetts Bay Colony who came up there, and there was a burning. The main person there who is Kate Pomeroy finds out is her ancestor, is Maud Pritchard. And there's a prequel to Storm Island, which is called The Witches of Storm Island, Book 1 of Turning, which is about Maud Pritchard, who is a young Puritan girl who gets involved with a woman who is who never ages.
That'd be nice.
And she
Give
gets
me that
involved.
spell, please.
And gets involved with an old man and he plays a big part in the TAO of the VIPER, the second book. But the first book is basically, there's a lot of mystery. There is a hint of paranormal in it. There's a strange little silo in the woods on Storm Island that has an oil lamp burning in the window. You can see it, but there's no entrance to it. There's no way to get inside. And that's where Kate eventually finds her mother's missing journal. So there's a lot. The spirit of her mother is around. And I mean, Kate Pomeroy is a very rational human being. And so she's having a very hard time she has a hard time dealing with this. And of course, there is an unexpected romance that comes in.
That's
with Jeremy Bradshaw, who is a local lobsterman. And she knew him when she was a child. And then that mystery in Storm Island revolves, and the TAO of the VIPER introduces a group of men who are vipers. It's a cult where there's the blood that they have, they can live 5 or 6 lifetimes.
Sort of like vampires, a little bit.
Not really like vampires, sort of. It's sort of a twist on a vampire legend.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a whole creation legend in the TAO of the VIPER about how the VIPER cult began. And the TAO of the VIPER is actually a book that Kate Pomeroy finally gets her hands on, and has to have translated from Latin. And so that's very the TAO of the VIPER is very paranormal. And again, there's a peril to Jeremy, who she's now in love with. And then there's the third book is Abducted. Oh, in the first 2 books, there's a real villain, not anything paranormal. He is a Russian named Vladimir Sokolov. And he runs a prostitution drug empire. And he becomes obsessed with Kate. And in Abducted, on the eve of her wedding to Jeremy, she is abducted from the wharf on the mainland and is taken by boat, sort of semi-tortured, taken by boat to Sokolov's place in Turkey on the Black Sea.
Yikes.
It's a long
And that book has no paranormal in it, and it's all intrigue, international intrigue with Jeremy, who served in Iraq, has friends, over there that he worked with, that he contacts, and he, goes outside the law to try to find her. And that's an abducted. In the empty space, Kate and Jeremy are married, and they are fugitives from the law and in the States. So they have absconded and gone to Norway, where they figured nobody will ever find them. She's working in the medical field, and he's got a boat. And that book opens up with 3 shots from a sniper's rifle. And Jeremy is down.
Uh-oh.
Taken to the hospital. And this is, again, Vladimir Sokolov coming after Kate. And that book has been called, I was really surprised when I got the reviews on it. They call it masterpieces of suspense, extraordinary psychological thriller.
Yeah.
And again, there's no paranormal in this. This is all international intrigue and dealing with, people. That introduces a new main character into the series, who is Omer, who is a young black man, who is, Kate compares to Denzel Washington in Training Day. And obviously he falls in love with Kate too. So, but there's Jeremy in the hospital. So, so then the last book that I've gotten through is the Blood of the Viper, and we're back on the island, and the paranormal is once again huge, and it has to do with ancient blood. And Aztec legends about the blood. And the blood is almost an alien thing, because I think in the end of it, it says that blood says, we were here before humans, and we'll be here long after they're gone. And Kate and Omer, who is a good friend of Jeremy's alive, they all have to battle this blood that is has intelligence.
That's creepy.
Yeah,
it is creepy.
It's like a
and that's what this Tao of the Viper is about, is that those people?
Blood of the Viper. But it's the same cult. And there's
that's what I'm saying. That's what this is about.
Both Tao and blood, named Sven Lundgren, who is a Viper, but he's a Viper with a conscience. So he's lived several lifetimes, but he respects Kate. He respects her courage and she's a strong character. She's a strong woman character in this, and she kicks butt when she has to. And even though she's a physician, and there's one thing in the empty space where she says, I know my oath is to first do no harm, but this guy did such bad stuff to me. And she lets him go.
Well, it's first do no harm to your patient.
Yeah.
So if it's not her patient,
it's a combination of mystery, international intrigue, paranormal. It's like everything. It's a kind of
awesome.
It's a fun series.
Sounds
and I've
cool.
got the 6th book in the works, which I'm calling Blood Reckoning, which will be more about the ancient blood that still exists. They thought they got rid of it, but
that's great.
Is it true that the Vipers started out as politicians?
No, but in the next They are politicians. In Blood Reckoning, they are politicians.
Oh, they are. Well, it wasn't too far off then.
Recognize
That's appropriate.
Oh, well, I guess we have one comment and then we have to go to
break,
another set of commercials, but let's get this comment up. Joe Conjo said, did you do anything different or special regarding your marketing that helped propel you to being a USA bestselling author? We'll save that till after the commercial. That's going to take more than a minute to answer.
Okay.
All
we
right.
will be right back after a word
from our
sponsors.
Yeah.
If I get to the right page here. There we go.
The clock is ticking. Can Gracie uncover the truth?
Philip Pliant is the wealthy opportunist plastics dealer and CEO of Pliant Industries. He's also a master thief, creating a pervasive threat to the manufacturing infrastructure in the Caribbean islands markets. With the cartel as his stealth client, the naive city leaders have been seduced, enabling the production of more than three-dimensional building materials.
The expected profits are monstrous.
Is the art group, now led by Gracie and the family heirs, strong enough to win against this predator?
Can JJ's cats act on the root cause analysis in time?
Will Gracie be able to squash Pliant and the cartels?
Gracie never considered their lives would hang in the balance. The clock is ticking. 5, 4, 3.
Have you wanted to publish your story? Have you thought about self-publishing? Today is your day. 5-star Amazon review. Self-publish your ebook on Amazon for free in 2024. This ebook is available on Amazon by Becca L. Jones.
Paradise, my prison. Charlie Flint awakens from a deep sleep and finds himself alone on a tropical beach surrounded by a palm tree jungle and exotic animals. He cannot remember who he is or anything about his life. First, he must find food and build shelter and protect himself from hidden dangers. As his memory gradually returns, it reveals what a very flawed person he is. A man who made too many mistakes, made too many enemies. The implications of the truth are staggering. How did Charlie get there? And will he save himself? Paradise, My Prison is the riveting new suspense thriller from retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. Paradise, My Prison by George Dismukes is available in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats worldwide.
And we're back.
Yes, we are.
All right.
All right, back to the question at hand. Joe Conjo wanted to know, did you do anything different or special regarding your marketing that helped propel you to being a USA bestselling author?
Yes. I'll just leave it there. No.
Okay.
I was part of a group of authors that put together a box set of romantic suspense novellas. And we all worked together very hard. My novella was The Witches of Storm Island, book 1, The Turning. And we worked very hard, all of us, promoting it. And it got to be a USA bestseller, USA Today bestseller. But that's how I did it. That's how I got there. It was a group effort of several well-known independent authors. Judith Lucci, God rest her soul, she passed.
I remember promoting that, actually. Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah, and Cassie McLean, Suzanne Jenkins, I think, to name a few. We all had a certain independent author rep out there, so we put together a box set with all those names on it, and with all those authors, promoting it. That's how it happened.
Every USA best-selling author that we know did exactly that. That's
USA Today.
USA Today. Yep. Every
Yep.
single one. Marjorie Deering said, did you also write Mr. Possum and Mr. Coon, or is that another Linda Watkins, Linda?
That is a different Linda Watkins.
Okay.
I was thinking.
Sarah and Zoe.
Like
Although you
Summer
probably had Possum on the island.
and the Steve Daniels mysteries and the Night of the Scurriest, but not Mr. Possum and Mr. Coon. That sounds like a children's book.
Yeah.
Is it a children's book, Marjorie? Do you know? Or, I'm just curious. But anyway. Yeah. But that's every USA Today best-selling author that we know. That's exactly how they did it. They did a box set, and usually romance novels.
Right. They were romantic suspense.
Yep.
So it was Love Under Fire box set.
Oh, Marjorie says it said Linda W. Watkins, but it was mixed in with your books.
On Amazon.
On Amazon.
Right?
And,
shouldn't be there, then.
And Marjorie said, yes, definitely a children's book. That happens a lot on Amazon.
We've got some on
We've got some of ours.
Linda Watkins author, just Linda Watkins, and because my cousin bought one of her books thinking it was mine, congratulated me on it. I said I didn't write that, but I'll have to check that out.
Anyway,
yeah,
because I don't have W.
Maybe we should talk a little about the Steve Daniels series.
Yeah, because we're running out of time.
And we want to tell people where to reach you.
My latest series is the Steve Daniels series. It's right now it's just 2 books. I'm working on the 3rd right now. These are my attempt at noir mystery. They are set. The first book is set in the latter stages of World War II. And the second book is set in the 1950. And so we're going back in time I have to do a lot of research on this to make sure I'm not using phrases or whatever that weren't coined until 1960. But they're mysteries. They're noir, hard-boiled. Steve Daniels is a former... Well, in the first book, he's a captain in the U.S. Air Corps Army Air Corps who's shot down on a reconnaissance mission over France and has to escape with the help of the French resistance, and then has to sail a makeshift sailboat across the English Channel. And he's never sailed before, and he's wounded. And so he has, he's, the typical hard drinking, smoking sap who picks the wrong woman every time. And he gets sent from the hospital in Britain to Lackland Army Cadet Center in San Antonio, Texas, to teach flying to the new recruits because he's grounded. He has PTSD, although it's not called that then. It's not diagnosed. He has nightmares and wakes up screaming. And
they called it shell-shocked.
He finally gets a doctor who says it was battle. They call it battle fatigue.
Battle fatigue and shell shock.
And but it's PTSD, but that wasn't coined yet. That wasn't in a diagnosis code. So, and it's not something he's proud of, because he's a man. This is 1943 when this starts. But there's murder. He gets involved with his commandant's wife, who is a Rita Hayworth redhead who wears platform shoes. And there's a couple of trials in it. He has also then has a relationship with his lawyer, who becomes his lawyer, a female lawyer. And so that's the first book, and it's murder and mystery. And then the second book he is working as an investigator in San Francisco in it's either 1951 or 1952. And that's when he gets involved with winery heiress Jessica Fauché, who is, although he didn't have the term then, a serial killer, possibly.
Oh.
But, so he has to investigate that. She's been accused of killing a young vintner who worked at the winery that her parents owned, and by stabbing him in the neck with a corkscrew.
Oh.
And and so Steve investigates that, and he goes into her past and finds out a lot of different things. And he also gets involved with her, which is not a good thing.
Not with a serial killer.
So that's also got legal. It's kind of a combination of legal, but again, it's the, he drinks his two fingers of his, what he calls his brother Jack, because he's Steve Daniels,
Jack Daniels.
Yeah, very clever.
Very clever.
Lucky and smokes, and talks tough and everything, but he's a sap,
That's awesome.
So the third book that I'm working on now is called China Doll. Steve, in Tainted Wine, the second book, he's residing in an apartment that's in Chinatown over a restaurant called the Walk House. It's not a fancy restaurant. It's a place that working class Chinese go for a bowl of noodles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In the third book, he gets involved in a case where two little Chinese girls have gone missing. They're the granddaughter of the owner of his landlord place. And so he gets involved with that, and then it gets into a human trafficking case and I'm just bringing the FBI into it now.
Awesome.
And, okay. So it's
we have
a mystery, and of course there's going to be romance with the wrong woman.
Sure. We have less than 5 minutes, so we want to tell everybody where to reach you, and there's another question here too.
Okay. First of all, Joe Condell said, okay, Robin Joan, let's get a box set in the works.
Okay, Joe.
No jokes, Joe. I'm thinking about it.
You get the hammer and nails, and we'll get started on the box.
Marjorie Deering says, do you have a preference, mystery or paranormal?
I do both. It's not a real preference. I started off as a horror writer, and that's because that's a genre I usually read, and I'm a member of the Horror Writers Association. And I sort of branched into going into straight mystery to see if I could do it. I mean, like the Steve Daniels, I decided to try noir mystery because I like the movies, and and I wanted to see if I could do it. And
looks like you're doing it.
Summer Girl, because I wanted to see if I could do it.
Yeah, that's in noir. I really love noir. I do too. I love those movies, and we also love Nick and Nora,
Charles.
Nick and Nora Charles.
The Thin Man.
The Thin Man series. We love that. We tried to put some of that into our original series, the relationship between the O'Rourkes. So those of you who are just listening, you can't see this little bubble that I put up, but Linda's website is lindawatkins-author.com, and that's LindaWatkins-AUTHOR. And all of her social media links are in there, and you can find her books there and all that kind of good stuff.
You can email her and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Yes. If you want to reach her, that's where you can reach her. You can, of course, buy her books on Amazon, probably any place that books are sold.
No. The first books in my series are also on Kindle Unlimited. If you have that and you're interested, you can read on that and then decide if you want to go on with the rest of the series.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Could probably read the whole, is your whole series on there?
Not just the first books. The first books are like Storm Island is on Kindle Unlimited. MATEGUAS Island is and the other books in the series are wide. You can get them on, Barnes and Noble and Kobo or Google Play, or Apple. Some of them are on Apple, some of them aren't.
And some of them are on audio, or all of them are on audio.
Pardon?
Some of your books are on audio, right?
Yes. Actually, 2 books in the Kate Pomeroy series are audio. The first MATEGUAS book is audio. The others aren't. Let's see, some of my shorter books, the Steve Daniels books, Platform Shoes is on audio. Tainted Wine is in production right now. My shorter books, Sarah and Zoe, a story about the power of unconditional love, is on audio. The Night of the Scurious is on audio. That's a horror book. I think, is there any? Oh, The Witches of Storm Island is also on audio. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what about Summer Girl? Is that on?
Summer Girl isn't. I would like to put it on there, but because Summer Girl is done in 2 parts.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jake's story and Allie's story. If I did it on audio, I'd want 2 narrators, one male and one female, because that's the way the story is divided.
Who does your audiobooks?
I've done the 2 from the Storm Island. I did those myself with another company. I can't remember what his name is now.
You can email us and let us know.
Yeah, but the other ones have all been done through WordWoos.
WordWoos, okay.
WordWoos, yes. They do, most of the books that they do are under 70,000 words. So that leaves out the MATEGUAS Island books are long, and so are the Kate Pomeroy's.
Okay. Well,
so if anyone has less than 70,000 and you want to get your book on audio, you can consider WordWoos.
They've been very helpful. They've done I've listened to a couple of them. They're really good. They do a good job.
How do you spell woos?
WOOZE, I think.
Woos, like booze,
we can
woos.
Well, we are out of time, folks. So we need to say goodnight. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been good to see you again.
Can you believe the hour went that fast? Because I cannot.
No,
it went like that.
Now I get to feed my dogs.
There you go. Okay, we're going to move over to the side, and
we have one more comment.
You can stay where you're at there until we come back to you if you want. Joe Conjal says, another wonderful show. Well, that's Paul Hollis. Another wonderful show. Thank you, Rob, Joan, and Linda. Nice to see you again, Linda.
And Joe Conjal says, another great show tonight. Thank you, Linda, and of course, Rob and Joan. And Marjorie Daring says, thanks, Rob, Joan, and Linda. Thank you all for all your comments and for being in the audience. We appreciate it.
Being here every week is really awesome.
I know.
We are really blessed.
We are.
All right. So I guess until next time.
That's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
Live every Wednesday, your Voice of Indie hosts Beam Weeks and Stephen Gees welcome authors, musicians, publishing industry pros, artists, and assorted creative guests for an exciting interactive hour. Call in during the show or post questions and comments on Twitter for responses in real time. Meet your favorite indie creators, learn inside tips, network, and promote your work. The link for each week's show is pinned on Twitter atop @VoiceOfIndie, and you can receive the link every Wednesday morning in your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter at freshinkgroup.com. Check out Voice of Indie every Wednesday on Blog Talk Radio and catch hundreds of episodes archived everywhere from our websites to our YouTube channel and Spotify.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time. on WLFE-D